Are you ready for calculation swap rate? There are two types of swap rate calculation, which Islamic cross-currency swap and Islamic profit rate swap. First, Islamic cross-currency swap. The Islamic cross-currency is a bilateral agreement between two parties to make a regular payment to each other at an agreed interval, but in two different currencies. A client receives 5% quarterly for 5 years for its $10 million investment. In other words, the client receives fixed investment return in USD. However, it is required Malaysia ringgit to pay for its liability. So the client swaps this with an Islamic bank for ringgit based on LIBOR. This is the example for Islamic currency cross calculation, which we can see that the total of client pays and Islamic bank pays is actually the national amount exchanged between of them. Next, Islamic profit swap. Islamic profit swap is a bilateral agreement between two parties to make a regular payment to each other at agreed intervals. These instruments are used to hedge against adverse profit rate movement, actually by exchanging cash flow fixed to floating within the same currency. For an example, a client has 2 million ringgit measure rental obligation with 2-year remaining tenure. The client is paying a floating rental by paying a LIBOR flat every quarter and wish to pay an equivalent of fixed rental. The Islamic bank agrees to swap the floating rental payment with fixed rate for the next 2 years at 3.5% per year. In other words, the client will give the Islamic bank rental based on LIBOR and the Islamic bank will swap this with the client at a fixed at 3.5%. This is the example for Islamic profit swap, which we can see that Islamic bank have to pay the net amount, which means mukasah to client and the total of amount as below. The last one is issue, opportunities and challenging. The main issue is the differences of opinion among the scholars as the permissibility and acceptability. The vast majority of Islamic derivative contracts are privately negotiated and concluded OTC as the opportunity of this topic. The last one is concerted effort from all concerned parties to come up with Sharia compliant hedging alternative to complete the Islamic financial system ecosystem.